shapes to ease out any slight tensions we may have, which would be perhaps slightly hindering our progress to journey inward. So in a minute, I'll invite you to lie down. This will start with lying down in any reclined form that is comfortable to you, with these light restorative stretches. After that, we'll begin to journey further inward through a meditation, coming towards a visualization, feelings-focused meditation, where we'll reflect upon some of the more typical responses that we have, myself very much included, in terms of outsourcing pain. And what I mean by that is, I'll delve in deeper in the meditation, but just very briefly is when we feel uncomfortable emotions, fear, anxiety, or a pain, a discomfort, we often try and outsource that pain onto someone or something else, maybe a scenario we're in. So having journeyed inward, having de-fidgeted the body, we'll at this point in the meditation, move into trying to house this pain and trying to sit with it rather than necessarily portioning it out to anyone, including ourselves. Just sitting with this emotion and seeing what it feels like. So I saw that just a few other people have joined. So just to go over that again, we'll start reclined in these gentle restorative shapes. Absolutely no need to, all voluntary, obviously. This is entirely your meditation. So follow and follow along as would serve you, whatever time it is with you. I was going to say this evening in the UK, this afternoon in the US and Mexico, and very late in India. So wherever you are, just choose what you feel right for you. Then after those stretches, we'll come up to a seated position. Again, a gentle seat. For this, you don't need to be super cross-legged. We'll try and invite a straighter back, but not too much more than that, to journey further inward and then move to this feelings-focused, visualized meditation. So just feel free to give yourself plenty of time at this moment to begin to lie down. It can be on your bed, it can be on a mat, whatever feels comfortable to you. And I'll just stop speaking for a bit, and if there are any questions right now, obviously feel free. So from this lying down position, looking up, I will be, just to clarify, I'll stay seated throughout this and be cueing you through it, just so that you can always see me and hear me clearly. But for now, please, I invite you to lie down and start to observe in detail your surroundings. Looking around from this lying down position, start to also tune into your other senses. What are you hearing? What are you smelling? What are you feeling? Notice your body lying down here. Maybe there's an area that you can already soften a touch. Maybe it's just a question of allowing your shoulders to release back. Allowing your hips to sink down into whatever you're lying on. Feel free to close your eyes now. Staying lying down, place one hand on your navel and the other on your heart. And start to notice your breath. Feeling each breath undulation through all points of your hands and fingers. Noticing your ribs expand as you Have that hand placed on your heart. Noticing your diaphragm lower and return through the hand on your navel. And gently return your arms to your side. Staying reclined, bring your left knee in towards your chest, as far as will serve you this evening or this afternoon, wherever you are. Keeping fully reclined as you hold your knee in, that left knee, with both hands. Continuing to breathe. And mindfully release that left knee down. Take a pause here. Notice any sensations in both legs. Now let's do the same with the right knee. Bringing your right knee in towards your chest, keeping fully reclined. Holding, breathing. As you hold this right knee, notice if it feels differently to the left side. On your next exhale, release your knee back down. Both legs long here. Once again, just take a pause. Now bring both knees in towards your chest, staying reclined. And start to massage your lower back, moving side to side in a gentle pendulum motion. Noticing how your lower back feels, finding the level of scrunched upness that is going to serve you. De-fidget your lower back here. And then mindfully come back to stillness, back to center. And plant both feet closely behind your seat. Inverted V shape with the knees. And just pause here. See if you can tickle or stroke your heels with your fingers. The next inhale, press your tailbone down to create a small cubby hole, a small space between you and the ground. And on your exhale, release back down, closing that little gap that you created. Inhale to tilt the tailbone down. Exhale, release, back down, fully reclined. Follow your breath here to inhale, press the tailbone. Exhale, release. Each time tuning deeper into your lower back area as you inhale, press down, arching the back. Exhale, release. A couple more times. As you inhale, press down with the tailbone. Exhale, release. And one more. Tune deeper into your lower back. And release. Taking a pause here in a relaxed back, keeping your feet as they are. Noticing how the body feels after these stretches. Allow your arms to fall out to the both sides, straight out, or like a cactus arms, or just gently out. Keeping the knees bent in. Allow your knees to fall to the left side. This is a good place. If you feel like more of a twist, start to gaze over your right shoulder, trying to keep both shoulders nicely grounded on whatever you're lying on. And breathe. Gently return to center with your knees. Take a pause. Return your gaze to center. Now allow the knees to fall to the right side. Gaze left. Now allow your upper body to turn over to the right side with your gaze as well, into a fetal position, a seat of full potential. And with eyes closed or soft gaze, push up into a comfortable seat. Legs can be gently crossed, wherever's steady, awareness building for you. Feel free to stay in this seated position. Feel free to take some more time to settle in. I invite you for one more stretch, just to fold forward with your hands, walking your hands over your legs, allowing your upper body to sink down. Walking as far forward as will serve you. Notice your body. Notice its limits. Notice what you need. And gently start to release from the forward fold if you're in it. Stepping back with the hands to a cozy upright position. Eyes can stay closed. Take your time to settle into the seat, noticing how your body feels. From this stillness, begin to assume that true position as a witness to your mind and body. Bring your awareness within to your inner universe. Notice your thoughts, images, narratives buzzing around, and any fleeting bodily sensations. Witnessing all this activity as an innocent spectator. Continuing the breath work from our opening stretches, feel free to also notice your breath wherever your attention naturally falls. Perhaps the air coming in and out of your nostrils, or the rise and fall of your navel. As you sink deeper inward, take a weather report on how your body and mind are. Are things quite stormy or calm? Do you feel sunny? Taking a note of the weather inside without judgment or attachment. Continuing to diffuse, separate self, that innocent witness, from body and mind, and all those shuffling energies within. Stay with your eyes closed, continuing to journey inward. They start to guide us into this feelings-focused exercise, starting with a bit of background. We often readily outsource pain onto someone in our supply chain or something, some scenario. In a way, it's like a game of hot potato, where once that unpleasant emotion rears its head, we seek to find a link between it and someone or something else, and then push that emotion, that pain, onto them or it. And it can seem highly rational when one passing comment can trigger this well of pain. So we attribute it, that sum total of that pain, to the originator of the comment, say, to the scenario we're in. Perhaps because the flip side feels scary to say that I am the cause of my pain, my hurt. But maybe this quest for a cause isn't necessary in either direction. It is actually unfair to us and others. Perhaps this feeling that arises from a comment, an action, is just that, a feeling, an energy set off inside that we can notice without creating a train of causation, either inwardly or outwardly. Letting it be, letting this pain shuffle around a bit, like a sensitive kitten that's gone into your neighbor's garden thinking it's home. And then being able to sit back as it releases, the pain melts away. Just as that kitten, let's call her Beatrice, sorts her location out, finds her cat flap, and makes her way home. Deepak Chopra said it beautifully, that owning your own feelings rather than blaming them on someone else is the mark of a person who's moved from contracted to expanded awareness. But I think it's also about letting feelings be. And one of the most courageous things I think we can do is, with pain, is to entertain it. Not lavish it with canapes and pets, but provide a space for it to move and release. For the pain to begin and end of its own accord, which it will, which it will. So let's begin this exercise to come to terms with our feelings and realize our resilience to house them. Bring to mind an unpleasant episode, exchange, interaction from the past few weeks. Something that precipitated a degree of emotional unease. Simply be a very brief interaction, occasion, something you just saw or sensed that triggered you. All feelings are valid. Now let's get granular with this memory. What's happening in this scenario? Where are you? Who are you with? How are you feeling? And where are you feeling it? Truly immerse yourself in this moment, in your emotions. How do they, your emotions, manifest themselves? What sort of thoughts are they setting off? What sort of pattern behavior? How are these emotions changing as you sit here in this guided meditation? Paint a really detailed picture, like you have the paintbrush of your favorite accomplished painter in your head at your disposal. Sit with this discomfort, scrutinizing it with curiosity. No need to outsource this emotion onto someone else or yourself. Simply allow it to be as you sit here. As your attention may drift, as your awareness may wander, returning to these feelings with openness, with love, turning to your breath to help you journey inward. Let the feelings be here, housed within you. Noticing if they work themselves out and depart of their own volition. Soften further into your stillness, leaving any final weight or tension in your shoulders or limbs. When you feel collected, allow these uncomfortable energies to release if they haven't already. And enjoy, luxuriate in the stillness you've cultivated yourself within. Realize your resilience, your ability to house this discomfort, this space within for these energies to arrive and depart. Now, when you feel ready, gently start, flicker your eyes open. And take some time to enjoy the coziness of your head, that warm fuzziness that you've created. The pleasant fog of the mind. And then begin to recenter in your surrounds. Notice some new details of your environment, new colors, new sights. Taking any movements with your body just to lightly wake up, maybe a sway of the neck, arms overhead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rupert. That was an amazing session. Very relaxing, very calming. So, Rupert, we have some time for questions. So, if anybody has any questions or comments, then we would be more than welcome to direct to Rupert.
Absolutely. Hopefully
Go
it
ahead,
didn't.
guys. Feel free. Don't be shy.
Yeah. Maybe people are waking up a little bit still. That's all good.
Yeah, I'll start if nobody else has any question. Do you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. That was a great topic. It hits close to home because pain is something we experience on a daily basis almost, be it physical, mental, anything that really gets our mental state agitated. And for someone like me, I have a very short temper, and I just have these bursts of stress or anger, any kind of emotion that is not pleasant to deal with internally. And I really feel like I need to externalize because it lifts a lot of weight off of my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your advice on internalizing this pain and some practical tools to do so?
Can you just clarify when you say internalizing the pain, what you specifically mean by that bit?
Right. So in your meditation, you guided us into ceasing to outsource the pain, not outsourcing.
Yes.
So I mean, I'm taking it as you implied that you're internalizing it and keeping it to yourself. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So yeah, very much so. What I was trying to focus on was that to me, I think half the battle with these unpleasant emotions is of say a fear of fear, or an anxiety about the feelings of anxiety, or feeling anger because of the anger that's been sparked within. And the more that we can sort of familiarize ourselves on our terms with those unpleasant emotions, the more equipped, the more expanded our awareness would be in theory, but also more equipped in those emotions where someone says a passing comment or you're in traffic, and suddenly you have this well in me. I just get these waves of frustration or waves of hurt, and it feels totally unfamiliar, and I want to get rid of it. And so I think we're all guilty of it, but I'm definitely someone who in that moment feels that that person or that scenario is the root cause of all this pain. And it doesn't really serve either party well, because you attribute all this pain onto somebody else, even if what they said wasn't particularly kind or loving, as the whole reason for all this pain inside, which wouldn't, doesn't necessarily add up, because that comment to somebody else would have elicited no reaction. And it's just a spark of something much broader inside. But it's also, there isn't necessarily so much of a need in that moment to find that cause. It's simply about thinking, okay, these are my feelings, and being loving to unpleasant feelings, which is which is quite counterintuitive to me. Sort of be open to fear, because it can feel when it rises up, and sort of similar what you're saying, Zil. You were talking about frustration and coming up with impatience sometimes. With me, it feels like a rush, which if I don't push it out, it's gonna somehow suffocate me inside.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about sort of, and I think what you say about weightlessness of the shoulders can help. It's about almost just sitting and noticing it pass over you, noticing it arrive and leave of its own volition. And therefore, whilst they can, that doesn't mean that you let everybody off the hook for any meanness, or you let yourself off the hook in terms of no self-improvement. It just means in those moments where the fear or the pain arises, that that you can entertain it, that you're resilient enough for it to pass, and then deal with the post events much more rationally and calmly.
Great.
In the fog of that moment, it can feel you won't be acting from your true self, in my opinion. When you're having an argument, you say things unlovingly because you're in pain and you're not really speaking to that other person, or in a scenario, you're not really yourself. It's just been fogged out by emotions and other narratives and self-esteem issues, whatever it may be. Does that get at what you were saying? Sorry, that was a bit of a ramble.
No worries. I got the point across. So that was good. I had a follow up on this. So how do you not react in the moment?
Yeah, brilliant question. It's truthfully something I still struggle with. And sometimes for me, actually, maybe it helps to, I come back to the question of what would be the most loving thing to do right now. I try, although it's very hard, to separate myself, from this emotion, this reaction. And if I can do that, that's, a good, that's the hardest part. But then it's also a question of thinking, okay, as hard as it may be, what could be the loving thing to me to do? Would it be to get that person a cup of tea, some small gesture of olive branch gesture of kindness? That, to coin Michelle Obama's phrase, to go higher when they go lower, but also not being judgmental about it. I try and come back to that word love, because I think the word itself is quite soothing. It's quite cathartic just to revolve around that word. So if I'm able to separate from the emotion and then lead with that question of what would be loving, I think that sets you up for a fairly grounded response. But it does come back to just housing that pain rather than, that game of hot potato, just trying to fling it out. Because if you do that, then you feel that you're sort of fused with the pain and can't see that it's just an innocent energy that happens to be inside you.
Thank you so much, Rupert. Great answer. We have time for one or two more questions. So please feel free, anybody who did the meditation, if you have any question, it was very deep, the topic. All right, no more questions. I'm assuming it was crystal clear. Rupert, one last thing before you go. I do want to ask you another question if nobody else is gonna ask you. I can go on and on because it's very interesting. So for de-fidgeting, that's another aspect to your meditation, which is a very interesting concept, and it literally means to sit still and stop moving around, right? And try and internalize. You correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's right.
Okay, so for de-fidgeting, especially when you're meditating and you're starting out, initially it's extremely hard to not fidget, or even physically, you get physical pain when you're sitting down for long times, and your knees start hurting, your ankles start hurting. So how do you deal with that in your own practice?
Great question. I think part of it is just practice in terms of those seating poses, but also in order to withstand those sort of initial sits of the beginner, or the shorter times, maybe 15 minutes, which to me still can be quite painful. I try and get active first. And that could be something totally unrelated to yoga or unrelated to meditation per se, and do some physical activity, not just because of the physical de-fidgeting, but that does apply to the mind as well. I don't mean that too sort of ethereally. I mean that in the sense that I wake up, as a bit of a Duracell bunny, needing to expend energy sometimes. And I know that I kind of just without being beholden to my body, I just know that once I go for a jog or do a more, vinyasa flow, which is a bit fiercer, I just know that then my mind will be more settled. So it's both about mental energy, mental thoughts buzzing around, and enjoying that buzz, channeling that buzz for good through a run or through something active, through a dancing meditation. And then just seeing how your mind is, but also with the body. I think it's about a few gentle stretches, joints and glands, as we used to do at the ashram, or just some seated stretches like I did, can actually really help start your journey inward, but then just help with any strains and aches, because they do happen. And I think that also, as I said at the beginning, comes about just from the sitting as well. You can't really, in my experience, I can't really replace the value of the sitting. As much as it helps to de-fidget the body and the mind, the actual act of sitting through practice does become easier from the act itself, but it does help a great deal to de-fidget, as I say before.
Great, great. We have a question right now from Vaishali. She says that she loved your meditation, loved the narration, and where can she get the words, the narrative that you use to practice over and over?
I would be happy to share that. If that person, sorry, I forgot her name, Vishali. Hi. If you would like to share either privately or with Zeal or myself your email, I'm happy to share some of the notes I made in the lead up. I also have on the Insight Timer app a page, Rupes is my name on there, and I have 5 or 6 guided meditations of a similar, hopefully similar energy in terms of my voice and practice. So I'm happy to share that however you like after this.
Great, thank you so much. Roops, you have an amazing Insight Timer profile, if I may say so myself.
Thank you.
Can you please share the link for our viewers here so that they can take advantage? Do they need to sign up? How does the process work?
It's you don't need to. I think it takes a few seconds to create an account with Insight Timer, and then it's you do not need to be a member to find my page. I'm just going to paste it in the chat. This is my page.
Awesome.
So you do not need to be a member, and you can get it through the app. It's very app friendly, but you can go on the browser and find it on your device. And feel free to comment, leave feedback. I am very keen to have good and bad feedback. So whatever it is, 2 stars, 5 stars is better than no stars. Actually, well, you know what I mean. So yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, feel free to go on there and check out some of my recordings. But I'm happy to, Vishali, share you some notes with the email that you just shared privately.
Thank you so much, Rupert, for your time. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Please don't leave yet. The show continues. Bueno, I'll start in Spanish because actually the remaining 2 sessions and a half, I said 2.5 because the last 30 minutes, we're going to be doing an open Q&A for any questions you might have. So they're going to be in Spanish. Unfortunately, for those of you who don't speak Spanish, fortunately, we had a big lineup in the morning. So, I'll now start in Spanish. Para los que hablan español, por favor, manténganse aquí porque vamos a tener 2 sesiones muy padres. Vamos a regresar aquí en 10 minutos, más o menos. Entonces, no se vayan a ninguna parte. Y aquí los vemos, los esperamos. And before I leave, for those of you who are about to leave, I heartily thank you for being here. All of us that spoke and did the sessions, we couldn't have made it as much of a success without your participation. So we really, really appreciate your support, your comments, and we look forward to sharing more interesting information that can benefit you and everyone else you might know. Feel free to share. Feel free to keep coming back. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free, please, please, please. This is my last request to you. Keep doing the practice. Do not, even if it's only 2 minutes, do not feel like, oh, I can't today. Okay? So I hope you found a lot of useful content that we presented to you today. Y para los que siguen, les damos otra vez la bienvenida. Thank you. Gracias. Nos vemos.
Thanks again, Zio. Nos vemos.
Thank you.